We're starting in about 5 minutes. Oh God, it sounds like the voice of God. We're starting in about 5 minutes, guys. Okay, brothers and sisters, comrades, my name's Alan Gibbons. I'm leader of the Liverpool community. Is Tracy Hilton. She'll introduce herself, so I'll hand over directly to Tracy.
Hello, everyone. It's great to see everybody here today. But before I get into it, we do have to do the housekeeping to keep everybody safe. So I'm just going to hand over to Paula Woolen to tell you what to do if there's a drill.
Okay, everyone, welcome. First rule, can we take a few minutes to make sure our mobile phones are on silent, please? You can just do that now. Okay, and next, there are no planned fire alarms. So if the fire alarm does sound, the exits are both to the rear of this room. They are accessible, so anyone in chairs or needing access, they both lead out onto the car park, and that's where we'll do our fire drill. And then final thing to mention is that the toilets are outside of all these doors and to the back of the outside room, just on the left-hand side. There are some refreshments that will be, the refreshment shop, for anyone who was asking earlier, it has opened, and there is some water available in the dispensing machine downstairs.
Okay, thank you for that, Paula. I'm sorry if there seems to be a lot of flashback here. I'm not sure. Is that better? I'll take the hearing aids out while I do this. Right. Is that better? Okay. Is that better? Right, the batteries are off. Sorry about that. No. Okay, right. My name's Tracy Hilton, and I'm a member of PCS, and I'm the Vice Chair of the National Black Members Committee, and many other things. It's a pleasure today to open this up. I know I'm not one of the main draws. The main draw, obviously, is the last speaker. Let me know if you can hear. Anyway, I'm here initially to talk about Grenfell and Orgreave before I introduce you to these speakers. Just to let you know that today is a rally and there is a follow-up event about questions, etc. at the Casa on Wednesday, the 25th of June, and there will be information going out about that. Now, there's many things we're going to talk about today, and on mine, I'm talking about Grenfell because I'm one of the founder members of Liverpool Supporting Grenfell, which was founded by Anna Rothery and Dan Lewis, and for many years we've shown support for Grenfell, and today is the 7th anniversary of that tragedy, and still the fight for justice goes on. So what I'd like to start with today, before we really get into it, and I say the rest of my piece, I'd like everybody to just take a minute's silence for the victims of Grenfell, but for everybody else, everything else related to that, whether it be Hillsborough, whether it be mining disasters or something else. So if everybody doesn't mind, please, if you could just take 1 minute's silence starting from now, and I'm trusting Alan to time that. Thank you, everyone. For those of you who know me, You will know that generally when I speak, I kind of, like wing it. But I have made some notes today because I've only got 3 minutes and there's a lot to get through. So I'm conscious that we've got a lot of great speakers here. So I probably won't even say everything that I've got written down. But I've mentioned before about Grenfell, and we know the disgrace of the first inquiry that came out trying to scapegoat our emergency services, and the fact that there's still stuff ongoing and that's not due out till about 2026 to see if they can actually bring anybody to court for this. In the meanwhile, lots of people have suffered. There's 72 lives were lost. There were 70 people were injured, 20 of them seriously, but that's only the tip of the iceberg, because there's everybody who was related to them, the friends, the community, they're seeing the damage that's there, the people who were left behind trying to find somewhere home and pick up the pieces, like that's their life, that's part of their life forevermore. And then there's the cladding scandal, the people who invested what little they had into homes that now is bankrupted people because the people who built them are not being held accountable to rectify it. And then this just goes on. So as I've mentioned before, this is similar to things such as Hillsborough, where we continue to fight for justice. And this is something that we all have in common here, is that social justice is a must. We must all stand together and not let anybody fall on the wayside. We do have today as well, the Orgreave Justice event is on today. And obviously solidarity to them. We do actually have today some Orgreave people here. We're grateful to see comrades, and also Shrewsbury 24. They know what went on about when they tried to put people down, because they tried it with Orgreave. They tried to put them down for rioting. And today we actually have with us the great Harry Chadwick and Kerry Renshaw. So if you can have a hand for those. Because this goes to show that fights might take a long time, but we never leave the fight. The fight never leaves us. And that's what we've got to think about in these times that we are in now, because it is hard. But, the thing is, it's going to be harder if you don't fight, So that's what we've got to think about. And there's a lot of work to be done on the way there. One thing I'd want to finish off with before I go is I have a campaign for Workers' History Month. It's unchanged, there's only 51 signatories, but it's a passion of mine to show that the things that we're going to talk about today is that we learn from the past so we can do it better in the future. And we look at what people are doing now, such as live housing and the wins we're getting, and how we can build on that. Because we have a generation who's nothing about trade unions, nothing about our history, our source and our struggles. And what I'm campaigning for is a Workers' History Month where that's embedded, where workers of all diversities and ages have worked together, such as Grunwick and everywhere else, and we've made those changes. So please, if anybody's interested in putting a motion through in their union or joining up with that, get in touch with me, because I want to push for this Workers' History Month. So now it gives me great pleasure to move on to the first speaker. And that is, are you ready? Anne? Or Anne? Here she is, our Anne San. Now, Anne ran as an independent sources candidate for Wavertree Fights Back in the last election. She's a co-chair of the legendary Merseyside Pensioners Association, and she is also a strong advocate for Palestine, amongst many other things. So I will just pass you on now to my great comrade, Anne.
Wow. You'll have to forgive me because I am a little bit nervous. I'm not a polished politician. I'm just an ordinary, honest, decent, hard-working woman from Liverpool. I've fought against injustice all my life. I'm nearly 68 years old, and 50 years ago, I joined a party that I thought would fight for working people. I joined the Labour Party Young Socialists and was very proud of that. Over the years, I have become so demoralised by what has happened to our party. And along with many of you, I left that party after what was done, the anti-Semitism, the smears against Jeremy Corbyn, the smears against some of our Labour people here in Liverpool, and people were expelled all over the country. I was rejoicing at the 27 manifesto, as many of you will have seen. And I'm proud to say that we in the Merseyside pensioners have carried on with that. And we've now got our own manifesto, which is down at the back there. Free copies for everybody. Because unlike Starmer, we have stuck to the principles of 2017, and we're not going to let them go. Now, we're not going to go back to the old days. We're not going to be an old party, but we are becoming a new party, a new movement in Britain. What I have to say now is, and I'm just going to call names out, I don't bloody care anymore. We have got an absolute disgrace of people who represent us in this city. We have Dan Carden, who represents one of the poorest constituencies in the country, who was charging not £7.50, not £75, but £750 for a place at his table for his campaign. That is absolutely shameful. And he's in one of the poorest constituencies. They've got loads of people on the poverty line, loads of children who are absolutely really hungry. They probably have got one of the highest kids who go to school who are all on free dinners and free breakfasts. The silence from our politicians and our elected representatives in this city, not just over our own internal politics in Liverpool or nationally, but also over, and I can't not mention Gaza, because this has been on since 20 months ago, although many of us know that this has been going on. They've been getting slaughtered and massacred for years, but it's come to a height in the last 20 months. Not one MP has turned up at the Palestinian demonstrations that we've had for the last 20 months. They've been asked to come down. It's shameful. We have had a handful of independent councillors and Green councillors. We've not seen one Labour councillor come down. It is absolutely, absolutely dreadful, because they're all terrified of losing their little bit of power. Their little bit of power in Westminster, their little bit of power in Liverpool. Well, I'm sorry, but your time is up. Your time is up. I'm now a pensioner, and I've got a memory like an elephant, and I don't forget, and I will not let any of you forget your treachery, your lies, everything else that you've been doing in this city. We will be following you. But I also want to say that I was also proud in 1976 to go on my very first demo, and that was the Grunwick demo. And I was proud. There was 20,000 people on the streets over there to try and protect and look after people's, a group of women in London over their working conditions. And this week, I'm just going to wind up now because I've got all these notes. I've got no time to say it. I just wanted to say I've had the privilege of going down to Birmingham and supporting the bin strikers down there. Now, I don't want to steal anything from what anyone else is saying, but there's so much that I could say. We could talk about the NHS, we could talk about those things. But I just want to say here that if you're doing anything in the next few weeks, it only takes you 2 hours to drive to Birmingham, which is what we've done for the past 3 weeks. And you go down there and you listen to the stories of those bin workers, and that's where you should be. And that's where we should be. We should be out supporting workers who are fighting for their terms and conditions. And what I want to say is, we're very similar to Birmingham, because they too have not had one MP turn up at their picket lines. Not one. They've been on strikes since January. They're not fighting for a pay rise. They're fighting to keep the money that they've already got. They're not highly paid workers at all. And what they want to do is they want to try and cut it. People need to go down there. The trade union movement, everybody here in this room should be going down there. And I'm just going to put out this plea to Jeremy. Not one politician, not one MP has been on their picket line, not one Labour councillor. And I want to say to you, I would like to see you going down there in the next 2 to 3 weeks, because you will be welcomed with so much joy, because these people are now becoming demoralised. They're not seeing anybody, and we need people to get down there on that picket line. We need the trade union movement to mobilise. We need the Merseyside pensioners. We've been going down there. We need everyone. A change is coming. We all know the change is coming. I'm so glad to be part of it.
Thank you so much, Sam. Brilliant as always. Now, as I said before, our other speakers include those from the recent Live Housing dispute. We're starting off, this was 2 unions involved in this, and we're starting off with James Robinson, the Knowsley Unison Secretary.
Thanks, Tracy. As Tracy just introduced me, my name's James Robinson, and I'm the branch secretary of Knowsley Unison. Now, I was told they had 3 minutes to come and speak today. 3 minutes on an 8-month dispute. It's quite difficult to sum that up and everything that's gone on. But I realise what meeting this is. It's a political meeting, so I've tried to gauge the points that I want to make today from the dispute to the audience that I've got in front of me. Just to give a bit of background, what were we faced with? We were faced with representing workers in what was described as a social housing association. This was part of the stock transfer, which the Labour Party overseen, as you know, and they transferred the stock of the housing over to the council houses, and the workers there were told their terms and conditions and their pensions would remain protected for life. They were sold a lie. Fast forward 20 years, and the branch secretary representing the Unison members there, alongside Kev Byrne representing the Unite members. And what are we faced with? We're faced with fallen trade union membership. We're faced with a workforce that have had their pension completely ripped up in tatters and sold off. They've had their pay deteriorated for almost 20 years. Their sick pay have been reduced. Their sick pay entitlements have been reduced. And it could go on. And that's what we were faced with. And their morale was absolutely on the floor. So then we were faced with a pay claim. We spent a couple of years building our membership and working very close. And it's a good lesson for the trade union movement, actually, in working step by step with a trade union. Unite and Unison, we recognised very early days we couldn't have done it on our own. We had to work together, at pace together, and we set a joint strike committee up together with both reps from either side, making key decisions along the way. So we put in a pay claim of 10%. They made an offer of 5%, and we went straight in to consult with our members. And that was the first time we're hit with what is the anti-trade union legislation in this country, because right away we are having to then get 50% of the workforce to return their ballot paper. It might sound easy. Trust me, it's not. Getting those ballot papers back when people are scared, they face 20 years of that, and then getting them told to put the X there that they're prepared to take strike action. But we've done it, and we've done it overwhelmingly. I think it was around 70 to 80% turnout on both sides, 90% yes for strike action. So 8 months ago, we took our first day of industrial action, and we then got a phone call from the senior management, and we thought, okay, they're prepared to sit down and negotiate. It was very clear from that meeting there and then, they had no intention of negotiating with the trade unions. Their intention from the off was to break the trade union and to use every trick in the book to beat us on this. So they spent 7 months doing the following, but not confined to it. So the first thing that they done was we took the strike action in October. They started to tell us we couldn't pick it outside their workplace. They said it was private land. They threatened me personally with the police. They threatened the legislation against our trade union movement, and we didn't blink. We said, no, get the police involved if you want. We are picketing outside your workplace. The police actually turned up, shook our hand and said that his family was part of the dockers strike. And he said he was going to go in and have a word with the management. So that failed. But we continued. Bear in mind, you know, this threat, it wasn't just aimed at us. Our members were having to think, am I going to lose my job here because I'm potentially breaking the law? But we kept it going. So that was the first thing. The next thing they done was, right leading up to Christmas, a week before Christmas, they wrote out to their staff and said, if you confirm to us in writing that you are not a member of the trade union, we will pay you your 5% and back pay you it, but not pay the non-trade union members. Now, all of you are probably sitting in the room thinking that's illegal, aren't you? Yeah, because I thought the same. I still think the same. Even the politicians think the same. However, they done it because they didn't care. A bit like P&O, they don't care the consequences because the employment law and the sanctions against them is just not strong enough in this country. So that's exactly what they did. So as you can imagine, we lost some members as a result of that. But we kept going. We kept going. We kept our membership intact in the industrial action. Then they came with the next one, which they employed agency workers to break the strike. So we had our contact centre as targeted action. They set up a company in Wrexham and they were taking the phone calls whilst they were on strike. We headed down to Wrexham, by the way, and we lobbied outside and we carried that on. So I'm being told to wind up. I told you it's very hard to do this, but fast forward to the 8 months. In the last month, after all of that, and they realised they could not break the unions. I mean, they are true working class heroes who I've represented. They to stand through all of that and look that in the face and carry on is testament to every single one of them. But I can tell you that come forward in October, the offer that we got on the table was an immediate pay rise between 8 and 8.5% over 2 years, an immediate reduction in the working week from 40 to 39 with the intention to reduce it to 38 by the end of the year, an increase in the pension contributions from the employer from 6 to 10%, and various other things which maybe Kev could go on into, but that just went, you know, it was a cracking deal, and then it was voted for. 100% accepted it on a 96% turnout, and I think it was just absolutely fantastic. So at that point, I'm going to hand over to Kev to come in from the Unite.
Okay. Thank you very much, James. Yeah, it is difficult to summarise all of those months of action in 3 minutes. I appreciate that. So bearing that in mind, I'm going to pass you over now to Kevin Byrne, Stewart from Unite.
Thanks, Tracy. So I'm Kev Byrne, as Tracy said, senior rep at Unite the Union and electrician for Live Housing. So as James has just alluded to, 8 months, over 100 days on strike. It's a long time for people to be on strike. It took that long because we were up against a particularly aggressive company, an anti-union company, who were intent on busting the union and breaking the strike, rather than finding out the reasons why we were on strike and trying to resolve the dispute. Our strike essentially was about the executive pay running rampant and workers' pay being suppressed over decades. It's prevalent in all parts of the workforce in this country, but particularly prevalent in the housing sector. And it wasn't just the inequality in pay which got our members angry, which gave them a desire to want to change our workplace. It was the inequality in the way we were treated as well. Our employment contract was no better than the master-servant arrangement. And that's what's seeping into the workplace now. And wherever it seeps in, we've got to fight against it, just like we did at Live. So we got organised. We built the union, and we got on the picket line. We fought and we won. And what's remarkable about that is, in January 2024, we didn't have an effective union at Unite. We didn't even have a union rep. So we built the union from virtually a standing start, from nothing. We got to the picket line a few months later. We fought a company that thought they were invincible, and we won. Now, we're all here today to talk, amongst other things, about the potential setting up of a new party. And I think there's lessons to be learned from our picket line in what we've done. Not only the fact that we organised quite quick, we had a common desire and aim to fight and to win, but also about the fact that we joined up with unison right from the start. We put our partisan differences aside. We joined up with the common aim of beating this employer and we went on to win. You know, there's two big lessons for a new party of the left. And friends, we need change. We need change because the political outlook today it's not for us. You know, despite the fact that we had some great support from hard-working local MPs, Ian Byrne and Annalise Midgley, you know, the Labour Party does not support workers in struggle. This government does not support working people struggling with their everyday lives. It's time for change, and we need to make that happen. Now, on that picket line in Knowsley, what I witnessed is that when we come together, when we collectivise, when we organise, when we fight, you know, it's an absolute sight to see. The power we've got in our hands, we've got to realise that power, and we've got to harness that power, and we've got to use that power together. Because what happened in Knowsley can happen nationally. We've just got to make it happen. So solidarity to the brilliant, brave, live-striking workers. Solidarity to everyone in this room. Let's make it happen. Let's make the change that we need. Solidarity.
So, a brilliant comrade, Kev. As always, storming it, killing it. Absolutely brilliant, mate. Thank you. Okay, so most people wouldn't want to follow that, but I know a man who can. Don't worry. Just a couple of things before I get to that. I did, when I was talking about Grenfell before, I forgot to mention there's lots of comrades here who've also shown support. And there's Alan Kelly and Val Beach have done a lot for that. We were looking initially to do something for Grenfell today, but we are looking to do something in the future, and we'll keep you in touch with that. Also, I worked for Knowsley Housing Trust, which went into Live when it first became a large-scale voluntary transfer. But I left there to work in the black voluntary sector to do something a bit more quiet. So, so now I'm going to pass you on to our next speaker, which is Alan Gibbons, who one of the organisers of this whole shebang, the leader of Liverpool Community Independence, the Independent Sources Councillor for Orrell Park, and I will hand over to him now. He's been trying to keep time, so I don't know how I'm going to keep time with him. So we'll see how it works.
Thanks very much, Tracy. I'll tell you what, it was a privilege to stand with these comrades on that picket line. And whereas a handful of decent Labour Party MPs and councillors, it was a handful, turned up once or twice, 3 or 4 times, our political group was there 48 times on that picket line. We don't talk about solidarity, we do solidarity. Similarly, as Anne said, on those great Palestine demonstrations, how many Labour MPs have we seen? Sorry, none. How many councillors have we seen from the Labour Party? 4. Once the Lib Dems have turned up. Our political group has been on every single march, every single one of those 60 weeks, and we will to the end in solidarity with the Palestinian people. And it's more important than ever, because now we've got the farcical situation where Iran has an unprovoked attack from the military might of Israel, and the British media and Keir Starmer say that it is Israel who are acting in self-defense. What kind of cock-up world is that? So, as a political group, we demand that our supporters turn up on those demonstrations, those picket lines, and they organise in the communities. The reason why we defeated Labour in its heartland, in Garston and in Orrell Park, is we stood by our community every single day. Every single day. We stand by them to fight Section 21 evictions. We stand with them to try and get money for them when they're poor. And I tell you what, half the Labour councillors do not even tell them you can get help from the council to get you through hard times. So we don't want a Labour Party whose interests are all about siding with the people like the big water companies that put their hand in the pocket. We don't want the likes of Reform, these posh public school non-entities who've been screwing the working class with their companies for years. And when those companies have their hands in the pocket of working class people, they want you to turn around, not to blame the big footsie employers, to blame the hedge fund managers that run GB News. They want you to blame people with a different colour skin or a woman who wears hijab. We will never do that. We stand in solidarity and we argue this in our wards. If somebody is desperate and they come for refuge, we demand that those people are housed and are treated decently. My family came here way back from Ireland. We were bloody starving and we were looking for work. We demand the right to dignity and to work. That is what we ask for. So, we'll be collecting with buckets for the Birmingham strikers. And let me just remind you, this is a Labour council trying to screw the working class. Stand with the Birmingham strikers because they're carrying a banner for real solidarity. The workers united will never be defeated. Solidarity.
So, yeah, as always, great speech from Alan, which kind of ends our little section here. I'd just like to end with a shout out. Many of you will know we have a comrade, Karen, who is in Cairo. Now, Karen's okay, but you know we've got lots of comrades from elsewhere where there, just to if you can keep her in the thoughts, and watch out to see if any comrades stuck in there. Shout out for help. There's people here who are trying to keep a pipeline to keep people safe. So solidarity for Palestine, free Palestine.
Okay, so now we're having a brief musical interlude with Jamie Bramwell, I'm proud to say is an activist on the left as well as a musician. We haven't got a stand, so I think I'm going to have to hold the mic up to his guitar. And if we can have the next chair get ready, which is Felicity and the speakers in her section.
Right. Switch this on it, give it a little bit on that. There you go. Yep. It's going to be a bit difficult this to get the sound across, but I will try my best. Two songs that I'm going to play today. First song, I can't. Two songs I'm going to play today. The first song is called Free Palestine. It was one I wrote just after the atrocities started, the genocide started. And the second one is pretty much about Farage and co. It's called Lucalan. The chorus does have about an old man getting you by the balls, but it's kind of that song. So I'll try my best to get these. They are fairly new songs. And I wanted to get it. Sorry? Right, okay. So I'm going to try my best because you might not hear the chord. So. You walked 1,000 miles along the beaten path, with everything you owned upon your beaten back. The only question you've got to ask, why is this possible and how long will it last, and who knows? Ooh, makes the rules against the fools, and who knows who makes the rules against the fools. And all you ever want is to build yourself a home, and where your future lies, it's all an unknown. So when they kill your dreams and tell you you're no good, it's not your hands but theirs, covered in the blood, and who knows who makes the rules against the fools, and who knows who makes the rules against the fool. When your air you breathe is mixed with dust and sand, this is not God's belief, it was never in his plans. The loss of human life, thousands have been lost. Self-proclaimed righteousness at whatever the cost, and who knows who makes the rules against the fools, and who knows who makes the rules against the fools. I walked 1,000 miles, always looking back. You were chased from your home down the beaten track, and all you ever want was to build yourself a home where your future lies. It's all an unknown, and who knows who makes the rules against the fools, against the fools. Right, yeah, I'll have a little blast of this one. It's a little bit harder for me to play because it's a bit quicker, and I do usually play quite slow, so. Someday the cavalry will charge, running up the hill, blood pumping through their hearts. Someday, and I hope it's very soon, people gonna wake up singing the same tune. And the old man, con man's got me by my balls. And the old man, Luke Land, said you're no good at all. Someday I'll take you from your home, pilfer your possessions, picking through your bones. Someday when you go off to work, they'll rifle all your wages and they'll have no concern. And the old man, con man's got me by my balls. And the old man, Luke Land, said you're no good at all. Someday the revolution will begin. We'll steal all our money and the gravy from their chins. Someday we'll fight as one. The gluttony, the greed, well, that'll all be gone. And the old man, con man's got me by my balls. And the old man, Luke Land, said you're no good at all. Someday whilst humming this tune, I might try to tell you about worshiping the moon. And on that day that you will find absurd, money is the evilness that everybody cares. And the old man, con man's got me by my balls. And the old man, Luke Land, said you're no good at all. And the old man, con man's got me by my balls. And the old man, Oh.
Right. I think we speak for the whole, say that was absolutely bloody fantastic, as opposed to my brain, because what I forgot to do in my speech was say, join the Liverpool Community Independents. On your chair, there is a form so you can support us financially, and that's Southport, Lydiaton, McGull, and Knowsley as well. So look out for those. If you can fill it in on your bank account, it'll help us to beat right-wing Labour in this city. If we can take them here, we can take them anywhere. And if we don't take them, then the bloody Farage lot are lining up to wait. If you want to join any of the 4 community independence groups, next to the T-shirts, they're a tenner, you can actually sign up there today. But actually, we'll also be messenger after the rally. So now I'll hand over. It feels like I'm handing over to legend after legend today. But Felicity has got a fantastic record in this city, and we stand on the shoulders of the 47. And so I'll hand over to Felicity Dowling.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, I'm very proud to be one of the 47 surcharge councillors. I'm proud that our record stands. To make a struggle to improve working class people's living standards, and for that struggle to be part and parcel of the working class is terribly important. We've got Mike speaking after me on the bin strike in Birmingham. We couldn't have won our campaign in Liverpool without the bin workers in Liverpool. Absolutely proud of the work we did. I'm also a member of Left Unity, and that's the reason I'm standing here today, from Save Liverpool Women's Hospital. I'm a member of Cheshire and West Cheshire Trades Council and Unite Community. I'm a proud internationalist. So I want to talk about what's going on in the NHS. Bob Marley said, if you know your history, you know where you're coming from. And we need to know where the NHS came from. And it came from the working class women of our communities. It wasn't given by the rich. It wasn't given by any great lord or lady or entrepreneur. It came from the struggle of working class women. It came from the struggle of the miners. It came from working class people struggling for healthcare at a time when if you didn't have the money, you didn't get the care. And our babies died in ridiculous numbers at birth, and women died giving birth. So the women organised, particularly in the Women's Cooperative Guild, Cooperative Women's Guild, and they had meetings bigger than this of poor working class women fighting for their rights, fighting for the right to decent healthcare. And once we got the NHS, the number of babies that died at birth and the number of women that died at birth went right down, became a completely different situation. My grandmother had 13 babies, 9 survived. And the grief of each of those losses was the same as the grief we'd see today. But those figures are going the wrong way now because of the state of the NHS. We urgently need a coherent political opposition within our communities saying why we should fight and that we can win to win back the NHS. We've seen cuts just these last couple of weeks, brutal cuts in the funding for Cheshire and Merseyside hospitals, and nasty little cruel cuts in things like reducing the number of fertility cycles you can have, in cutting the services for kids with celiac disease, in cutting the services for people with long COVID problems. Bitter problems. And then we've got this situation where the ICB put a presentation to the government or to NHS England asking for a set of services, all run through, all planned, all agreed, even with the private sector who come and supervise us with PricewaterhouseCoopers. And that budget was denied, and every hospital was then told to make about a further 2 million cuts, but they have to keep the same services. Who's going to pay for that? The NHS workforce. And thank God we have the NHS workforce. Migrant and settled. We cannot run our NHS without the migrant workforce. And it would not be there without them. One man came to a meeting we were at and told us about how his mother came at 16 on her own from Hong Kong to work as a nurse in the NHS when they had, I don't know what they call them, student nurses. It wasn't proper student nurse, but like a trainee nurse. Pupil nurse would it be? Thank you. Right. So we've got to build the campaign to save our hospital, and we've got to build the campaign to save the NHS in the workplaces and in the community. The NHS is a legacy to us from the generation that defeated fascism, and we should not give it up. Liverpool Women's Hospital campaign has gathered so far 81,000 signatures. We've held 3 big demonstrations, lobbied all sorts of NHS meetings, helped on picket lines, produced leaflets, and organised public meetings. For 10 years, we've managed to keep the Liverpool Women's Hospital open by this campaign. The damage to the maternity services across the country is appalling. Report after report has been written and ignored. Women make up nearly 80% of the NHS workforce, yet it's women's health issues that carry the bulk of the cuts. The damage done to maternity services costs lives. 272 women died in childbirth in the UK between 2020 and 2022. We're not even in the top 20 countries for maternal mortality. Once we were amongst the best, and we are now seeing our women die from neglect in the maternity services. The NHS has been drained of services to make profit, and this government is persisting and, in fact, deepening the pro-market approach of the last government. It's urgent that the organisations of our class stop being cynically fatalistic about the NHS, get up on their hind legs and fight. We will hear the next version of the plans to close Liverpool Women's Hospital soon. We know they feel the pressure of the campaign and are reluctant to come out openly with their full plans. But maternity is so underfunded, the Liverpool Women's Hospital can't survive without a fundamental change in funding. We demanded that change 10 years ago when this battle started, and we reiterate that demand now. Maternity must be better funded across the country, better staffed and not run by idiots. In the new board that runs the Liverpool group of hospitals that Liverpool Women's Hospital has been grouped into, there's no one with obstetrics or maternity as a specialism. What the hell? We are calling a public event. We're not calling it a demonstration. We don't know what scale it's going to be yet, but we're calling a public event, and it's a public event. We want the people of Liverpool and Merseyside and Cheshire involved. We're not going to talk to the people at the conference, but it's going to be outside Labour's conference. We need you to help us to build that the 28th of September, and we've got to say we want the whole NHS restored and repaired. And we want to say we want to keep Liverpool Women's Hospital and improve the whole maternity service. We've got to tackle poverty and housing and all the other issues. But get on your hind legs and fight, because without it, you're going to lose the NHS. Thank you. Our next event, our next speaker, or not a speaker, our next part of this event is a film about the Birmingham bin strike. So that's going to take about 5 minutes, and we'll have a speaker after that. Thank you.
Well, we're on strike because the simple fact is that they're taking money from us. It's never been about us wanting more money. It's about us fighting for what we've got at this moment. Some of us are losing between 6,000 to 8,000 a year.
We're fighting to keep what we've got, not what we're going to lose. And who goes to work and gets up and they come in and they're going to lose such an extortionate amount of money. It's just wrong. It's wrong. You work to live. You don't live to work.
I'm not sleeping at all right. For the fact that I'm thinking I'm going to lose £10,000. Got a mortgage to pay for. Got 3 kids. Bills are going up. Council tax has gone up twice.
I'll be honest with you, I've had to turn to my parents to help me financially. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to afford this month's rent.
I mean, it doesn't help when the councillors give themselves a 5.7 pay rise while they're taking money off the low-paid workers.
I love doing my job. I love when I walk around and when we finish our round, what we've done. I thought, yeah, look what we've done. And to understand it, you have to be a bin man. Do you know what I mean? So other bin men will understand what I'm trying to say, that it's pride in what we do.
We serve a diverse community. We are proud of our community. The majority of our workers come from Birmingham. We don't want Birmingham to look a mess. We want it to look as best as possible. We want to serve our customers and our residents as best as possible, and they need us to. And unfortunately, in the minute, because of the council, we're not able to do that.
It's a race to the bottom. Make no mistake about it. This is a race to the bottom. This is, we lose this. The ramifications from it is going to be massive. It's going to go all over the country. There's no two ways about it. That's what it is. And I'm angry. I'm really, really angry. Yeah, I'm angry.
The Merseyside Pensioners Association are here today to show solidarity with the striking bin workers of Birmingham. This is a Labour council here. Not one Labour councillor has been down here. Not one MP has been down here. They're an absolute disgrace. They should be down here supporting these people.
This government has an agenda against the interests of the working class. They are seen as the enemy. They've gone from being representatives of Labour to attacking Labour.
This isn't just an attack on Birmingham bin workers. This is a test here, because if they get away with it here, they're going to get away with it all across the country.
They've been at this for months, as we all know, and basically they're feeling really confident about the situation, but they're concerned about the pressures that are being put on them, not only from the courts, but also from the local council leaders and from the government, so they're really concerned about that. As a worker, I stand to lose, I think I've done the maths, I think it's about £7,000.
It's caused a lot of headaches and problems for a lot of people. It can affect your mental health as well, because you don't know where you're standing with what's going on.
You're stressed because you've got to pay bills, you've got to keep a family, and you're losing between £8,000 to £11,000. It's not right.
Mr. Speaker, since the general election, we have demonstrated that we are a government dedicated to delivering for defence, committing the largest sustained increase in defence spending since the end of the Cold War. £5 billion extra this year.
This isn't about Birmingham City Council no more. This is about an extension from the 1980s with Maggie Thatcher coming back from the grave to finish off a business what she started with in 1980. And the scary part about it is if we don't all stand together and we don't pull together, it could come to fruition. And that's the scary part about what's happening here now today.
The sad thing is we could be out here for another good few months. The council don't seem to want to budge, or what they want to give us is not what we want. All we want to do is just keep what we have.
I don't know what Angela Rayner and Keir are talking about. They're more than welcome to come down. We'd love to see them come down. We are a Labour-run council, and we'd love to see our Labour leadership attend to people, speak to the workers, stop hearing things second and third hand, or tuning into Sky News or whatever it is they're doing. Come speak to the striking workers, speak to the reps that are in these negotiations and find out. Stop listening to everything that the council are saying.
We are losing £600 a month, £8,000 a year. It's unacceptable. I've got family. Everyone who stands here has got family. We're already living beyond the breadline, and it's going to make it increasingly difficult. We can't afford to lose this. We're not asking for a pay rise. We're asking to keep our money.
To me, that's like my rent gone down the drain. I pay about £675 a month. So that's gone already. So that will leave me about with £1,100 without the bills on top of that. So without the bills, I'll be left with about 150 quid to survive on.
I'm barely breaking even. I've not had a holiday for 6 years and they're trying to bring wages down. So I'm disgusted with them for even considering. We're not asking for more. We're not asking for less. We just want what we've got at the moment.
I'm a mum. I brought 3 kids up on my own. I don't want to sit there and say, we can't do this, we can't do that, or we can't do the other.
Even without the cost of living, the £600 a month impact will be potentially families losing homes, children probably being relocated with schools, stuff like that. Never mind the cost of living going up now for everything else, where people are just about making ends meet now, just about getting by. It seems like the new system in this country is we're being paid enough just to feed ourselves and return back to work. We're not being paid enough to actually live.
I'm a father of 5 as well, so it's kind of worry, shock, like, why have I destroyed my body for the last 23 years? I've separated my shoulder, done my back, you know, I've given everything for this. So you kind of go through a load of emotions. With the cork in the bottle, it's the only way I can describe it for me. Once this cork goes, it'll go completely across the country. Well, we are the first to be really attacked this way, but we definitely will not be the last. What happens in Birmingham is the benchmark for all other councils to follow. So we all must stick together. It's time all trade unions started singing off the same hymn sheet.
You've seen the film, now you're going to hear from the real thing. It's Mike.
Thank you, and good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me. Friends, let me take you back to September 2023. It's a date to most of no significance, but to 370 bin workers, this is when Birmingham City Council announced it had issued a Section 114 notice, effectively declaring bankruptcy and announcing debts of up to 760 million due to equal pay claims. Then in October 2023, the then Tory government sent in 6 commissioners with Max Keller at the helm to overhaul Birmingham City Council with powers of finance and decision-making scheduled to last 5 years. Birmingham City Council then passes budget cuts, the largest in local authority history, cutting 600 council jobs, selling 11 community centres, moving bin collections to fortnightly rounds, council tax rises by 21% for the next 2 years. Now in July 2024, Labour take control of government. These 6 commissioners, instead of being dismissed, are told to continue with their plans for Birmingham City Council under the guidance of Angela Rayner. Within those 2 years, they have announced their plans to restructure the waste service, and as we know, the workers are to suffer yet again. Firstly, they removed the safety critical role, then the grade 3 role completely, causing losses of £6,000 a year to wages. Now, secondly, after being reassured, drivers have now been told to expect a downgrade, and myself, a loss of up to £12,000 a year. Friends, Angela Rayner recently visited Birmingham, but not a picket line, I hasten to add, and told bin workers to accept the generous offer that had been offered. This same offer, which Birmingham City Council leader John Cotton said, and I quote, "No one will lose money." Enough is enough. Why should we be made to pay for our employers' mistakes and be forced into austerity. Let the fat cats pay with the 5.7 pay rise they gave themselves. Six commissioners to add insult. Recent figures show the government appointed the fixers have wrapped up £2 million in fees and expenses. Daily fees of £1,100, with Max Caller getting £1,200 a day. Bin workers was accused of holding the city to ransom and being greedy. Now, not only have Birmingham City Council got an unhappy workforce, they have now got the residents of Birmingham to answer to. And all this under the eye of Keir Starmer, Angela Rayner, and the Labour Party. This strike has been compared to strikes of the past. I'd like to think this is the strike that shapes our future. A future with no worry, no fear. We have stood strong as our families have. Without their support, this would have been an even bigger fight. On a personal note, I would like to say thank you for my wife. Finally, on behalf of 370 proud, striking brothers and sisters, thank you for your solidarity and support. Thank you.
Mike not only spoke brilliantly, he managed to keep to time, which I think is a first for this event. Our next speaker is a local boy, come back to the city, Len McCluskey, who's previous General Secretary of Unite. And who's been involved in the discussions around a new party of struggle for the working class in Britain. Len.
Brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, I'm absolutely delighted to be back in my city and to see so many old faces still fighting the fight. And you are needed now more than ever. What a fantastic speech, Mike. And let me tell you, you will win. Comrades, I was a member of the Labour Party for 54 years. 1970, I joined the Labour Party. And last year I was expelled because I supported Jeremy Corbyn in Islington North. And here he is, the living embodiment. The living embodiment of everything that is good and decent in the political arena today. I heard some great speeches already, and you know what? Coming back to my city, I expected nothing less. This is extraordinary times that we live in. 120 odd years ago, people like you met and said, we don't have a voice in the political arena. We need to create our own party, a party that will speak on our behalf. And so was born the Labour Party, a party that was supposed to challenge the establishment and speak for working people. They don't speak for us anymore. They have actually shed the legitimacy to be the voice of Labour. Hundreds of millions of people, our mothers and fathers and forefathers before, have voted for them over those 120 years. Less and less and less now. Starmer's just won a landslide election and got less votes than Jeremy Corbyn did. Than Jeremy did in 2019. Forget 2017, because that's what the establishment would like you to do. Forget 2017. Didn't really happen. More people voted in England for Jeremy Corbyn than ever voted for Tony Blair. This man destroyed the myth that British people are not really interested in radical policies. Oh yeah? He destroyed the myth that young people are not interested in politics. Oh yeah? You should have been at Prenton Park when that old Jeremy Corbyn that started amongst young people. And hundreds and thousands of people joined our party in order to make certain that politics, comrade, I'll speak to you later if you want, but let's finish what I've got to say. I'm going to tell you, comrades, what is happening, and it is a sinister plot. In 2017, when Jeremy came this close to gaining power, can you imagine what the establishment thought? And remember, 2017 election was called by Theresa May on the basis that Labour would be destroyed forever. Oh yeah, they forgot about Corbyn. And the truth of the matter is that they will have met in their in their private clubs to say, what the hell happened? How did we allow this to come so close? Their friends across the sea, and I'm talking about the real establishment, not the flutter and jetsam of the right wing of the Labour Party, the people who rule our lives. And their friends across the sea would have said, hey guys, what the fuck are you allowing in this country? And they made a decision to destroy Jeremy Corbyn, destroy Corbynism and anybody close to them. But of course, they forgot about the spirit of working people. They forgot that people like you here and all over the country, meetings like this are taking place, are not prepared to sit back. They came up with a puppet in Starmer in order to destroy Corbynism, but much, much more. To turn the Labour Party into a mirror image of the Democrat Party in the United States. 120 years there has been battles between right and left. And of course, the left have found themselves often in the minority. But the truth is, we were always there as the soul of the Labour Party, the heart of the Labour Party, the socialist voice, sometimes marginalised. But what's happening now? Not marginalisation, but expulsion. Dozens, hundreds of thousands have already left. Hundreds and hundreds, thousands are being suspended left, right and centre. And that's why it's time, comrades. It's time for the resistance. When I look at these community banners behind me, it fills my heart with joy. And there are negotiations and discussions taking place, and have been taking place for a long time in terms of bringing a united front. We've heard comrades talk today about uniting together, staying together. That is now happening. And it's my view that in a very short period of time, what will be created will be a credible left radical alternative. And comrades, I know who the leader of that party should be, and you're going to hear from him a little bit later. Comrades, oh, Jeremy Corbyn, oh, Jeremy Corbyn. Comrades, sometimes, you feel that there's nothing you can do. The establishment are too powerful. But the truth is, people power matters. It's my belief that when people join hands across nations and oceans, anything is possible. And that's why we must fight wherever we... Felicity, please give me 1 minute to talk about Gaza. It's wrong of me to be here and not mention it. It is genocide. It's an absolute disgrace. Comrades, someone once said that for evil to prosper, good men and women must stand silent. Well, we're not standing silent. And there are hundreds of millions of people around the world who are not standing silent. And I say, comrades, history will judge those that stayed silent and those that were complicit. And I say to our Prime Minister, hang your head in shame. This is, comrades, this is a supposed human rights lawyer who supported the blockade of food and medicine for women and children. He should be ashamed of himself, a stain on our movement. And I'll finish by saying this. Believe in your values, because your values are the values of millions of decent people in this nation. And together we will attain justice and decency. Thank you, comrade.
Right, you're left-handed. He would be left-handed, wouldn't he?
You're going to introduce me?
Oh, sorry, yeah. The great friend of the left here, Ian Prowse, who's produced some fantastic music in this city. I've lost track of how many times I've seen people like Ian and Mel Bowen and all the other great musicians in this city. The Lars have got a representative here. And this city really was built on soul and blues and jazz and rock and roll. So we got one great son of Liverpool here to keep that flag flying.
Put it up a bit. Al had asked me to sing a song of mine, Battle, but I've decided I'm going to sing a brand new song because hopefully we're all going to head off on a brand new adventure. So here's a song for it. Well, I've been running up and down this mountain, trying to save up for a kidney machine. Well, could have put you down here for a 20. I'm gonna free fall right out of a plane. Enough is enough is enough. Enough is enough is enough. Well, I met this guy from Lockheed Martin. We had a drink on Armed Forces Day. I talked him out of one less bomber. He's gonna throw the 20 million our way. Yeah. Enough is enough is enough. Woo. Enough is enough is enough. Well, it's as natural as love or breathing, but it's a luxury all of the same. Once a month she's gotta find the money, what should be free at the point of the pain. Enough is enough is enough. Woo. Enough is enough is enough. I said enough is enough is enough. Enough is enough is enough. I'd love to holiday in sunny Canaan. I'd love to see just where it all began. But you can't go slapping on sunscreen when there's been murder all over the land. Enough is enough is enough. Enough is enough is enough. I said enough is enough is enough. Woo! Enough is enough is enough. Well, if you started up to count to 1 billion on the very day that you were born, by the time you put your knife and fork down, you still wouldn't get to the sun. Enough is enough is enough. Woo. Enough is enough is enough. I said enough is enough is enough. Yeah. Enough is enough is enough. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much, comrades. We're up to the last lap now, and I want to introduce the next chair after a couple of announcements. The first announcement is tomorrow we'll march again through the city from the Catholic Cathedral right through to Derby Square. So be there 2 o'clock with your keffiyeh, your Palestine flags. And next Saturday, we're going to be outside Marie Curie in Wilton, where they have still not reopened the inpatient unit. Now, the position of our group is simple. Palliative care, one of the most important things in the country, should be free at the point of use, and it should be provided by the state, by the NHS, by this government, and we shouldn't have to rely. But as long as we do rely on a charitable institution, they must not keep an inpatient ward closed and break so many hearts across South Liverpool. So that is going to be at noon next Saturday outside of Marie Curie in Wilton. And you can look on the Independents Twitter site and it'll give you the details if you forget. Finally, I'll just hand over to Sam. I'll say, Sam and Lucy, our group, we don't have a whipping system. We have a common bond of solidarity. We actually like each other. We're not there to try and get money or to try and get career. If you did it, you don't join the Independents, I'll tell you, to take on Labour in its strongest city. And Sam has had to put up with more shite from this Labour council, these gutter snipe, snivelling Labour councillors that try and trash his reputation. We stand in solidarity with Sam, and we will never let these sharks feed on his political flesh.
Thanks for that introduction, Alan. For those who don't know me, I've been a 3-time suspended Labour councillor for the obvious reasons. Gorst, born and bred, lived down the road from the anti-fascist trade unionist Jack Jones, for which we got a memorial installed in the area. I've represented the area for 6 years now, as I say, majority of it as a suspended Labour councillor. No fault of my own, really pro-Palestine. So yeah, I've stuck to my guns on that throughout. Yeah, and I stood against Maria Eagle in the last general election. So yeah, I'm privileged to be chairing the final session. We have an inspiring Scouse Palestinian activist, Haneen Awad. The adopted Scouse Nigerian singer, actor, playwright, Teo. Southport Community Independent Councillor and Trade Unionist, Sean. And, of course, the Scouse loved and respected peace activist and politician that's a cut above the rest, Jeremy Corbyn. Haneen is the face of Palestine here in Liverpool. She is constantly present at every pro-Palestine motion, at council, at every vigil and march. The people of Palestine would be so proud of her and should be so proud of her. Every occasion I hear the wonderful Haneen, I reflect on her words and experiences, and it emboldens me to do more and be more committed to the Palestinian cause. Over to you, Haneen.
Thank you. Hey, it takes a lot to get me all choked up there. You've managed to break through the wall. Thank you. Alan, this is going to be more than 3 minutes. I'm just make sure Alan's sat down. But what I can guarantee is you'll either end up in tears, inspired, but you'll definitely not be asleep. So I'll tell you that for now. So as Sam introduced myself, my name is Haneen, and I'm honoured to stand before you today, not just as a Palestinian living in the diaspora, but as someone whose identity is deeply rooted in a culture, a people and a cause that can't be ignored. I speak today not only for my homeland, but to remind us all why independent voices and politics are more important now than ever before. Being Palestinian is more than just a nationality. It's a way of being. It's a love of a land, a love of a language, a love of tradition. It's the aroma of olive oil and jasmines. It's the sound of the oud guitar and the stories whispered between generations. It's the intricate beauty of Tatri's embroidery, which I'm wearing today. Every stitch is a symbol of a village, a story, a resistance. But it's also the heavy burden of exile. I am part of a diaspora that did not choose to leave. We were forced out through bombs, through bulldozers, through ongoing occupation that continues to dispossess and destroy. And yet, we carry Palestine with us, in our hearts, in our art, in our voices. Our culture is not only surviving, it is thriving and it is defiant. But how do you speak of a culture when Gaza is being flattered before the world's eyes? And just on that point, I can see some consumption of boycott products. Know your audience, know where you are. Think about, it might just be a little can of Coke, or it might just be whatever, but think about the effects, the long-term effects of that purchase that you've made. Just off topic here. Back to the schedule. So, it's not a conflict, and we already know this. I'm saying this to the wrong people. It's a genocide. Entire families wiped out, hospitals bombed, journalists killed, children buried under rubble, while politicians debate our humanity. The Israeli occupation of Palestine is not only illegal under international law, it is a decades-long system of apartheid enforced with full political, military and media backing by powerful governments, including many in this so-called free world. We are living through a genocide. Over 36,000 Palestinians and more and counting killed in Gaza. Entire families wiped off the civil registry. Journalists, doctors, poets, aid workers, murdered, targeted, silenced. And what does our government do? It arms the slaughter. Yeah. The UK has sold hundreds of millions of pounds in weapons and components to Israel, some directly used in the bombs falling on civilians in Syria, Iran, Lebanon, Yemen, Palestine, and counting. And not only has Westminster refused to call for a permanent ceasefire, It continues to vilify those who dare to say the word Palestine. Labour, Conservatives, and I don't know if you want to call them the new kids on the block, Reform, they may wear different colours, but when it comes to Palestinian lives, they share the same shameful silence. A few months back, I was at a council meeting with Alan and Sam and Lucy. I asked the council a question about divestment from the Merseyside Pension Fund. I proposed that divesting from institutions complicit in war crime should stop. I mean, am I wrong? No. And I've never felt so ashamed of Liverpool. I've never felt so ashamed to say I'm actually from here, that these people that represent me and my city turned a blind eye to my question. They pushed it to the end of the agenda and they spent hours discussing, was it a zebra crossing or something like that? Yeah, it was a zebra crossing. Instead of getting solutions or listening to my answers or listening to any answers that they're going to give me, anything of purpose, I got welcomed with answers about having a two-state solution, which essentially is a middle finger up to me. Again, know your audience. I got welcomed with that and a bunch of Zionist tears, and honestly, I just didn't understand what they were trying to achieve with their answers. But on the bright side, my comrades who were outside in the pouring rain chanting Free Palestine for, well, what was it, 4 or 5 hours? Bear in mind, it should have... It should have finished at 6 o'clock, but we were out by 9. Yeah, we basically made the mayor keep that meeting open. And the only good thing I got out of it was meeting Sam and Lucy properly, and obviously being with Alan, but also we gave the mayor a headache and he admitted that. So every cloud day. So this is why we're here today. Because in a broken political system where party loyalty trumps moral clarity, we need independent voices more than ever. Because in moments like this, when mainstream politicians are silent, complicit, or worse, we need independent voices. We need politicians who are not shackled to party lines or corporate donors, who won't twist themselves into moral knots to justify the unjustifiable. We need people in power who will say clearly and without fear that what's happening in Palestine and to the Palestinian people is inhumane, it's wrong, and it must end. Simple as that. And to the independent politicians that are here today, that are elsewhere, Jeremy, Leanne, Palestinian comrades from Islington North, you know, what you represent and your courage, it really matters. Your solidarity is not a gesture, it's a form of resistance. While others offer thoughts and prayers, we need you to offer truth and action. And sympathy does not free the oppressed, solidarity does. Solidarity is voting against weapon sales to Israel. Solidarity is calling apartheid by its name. Solidarity is elevating Palestinian voices, not silencing them. Not when it's easy and not when it's hard. Solidarity is standing firm when attacks come, because they will come, and saying, and it's up to you to say, my principles are not for sale, and that is solidarity. You roll with the punches, but one thing you keep is your dignity. And one thing you keep is the respect that people hold for you for standing your ground. We need politicians who aren't afraid to say, have I read this? Yeah. That Israel is an apartheid state, that Palestinians have the right to resist occupation, that calling for a free Palestine is not extremism, it's a demand for basic human dignity, that no government, no matter how powerful, is above international law. Independent politicians are uniquely placed to lead this fight because your voices are not censored by party interests or foreign lobbies. You can speak with clarity and moral integrity, and that is exactly what Palestine needs. We don't need tears from MPs who vote to arm our oppressors or abstain or not turn up, hit Kim Johnson. Or those who pull up the middle finger to myself and other comrades outside the Labour Party conference. Or those that run away when it gets tough on a main stage of the national demonstration in Liverpool. We don't need that. We don't need statements full of concern while they shake hands with war criminals, Keir Starmer. We need solidarity and we need action. And to my fellow Palestinians, I mean, if it's just me in the room, if there's any others, please, I'd love to meet yous. From the camps to the cities, from the rubble of Gaza to the streets of exile, I see you, I carry you in every word I speak. We aren't victims, we are survivors, we are creators, we are dreamers, and we will return. And to everyone listening, do not underestimate the power of standing on the right side of history. Let this be a movement rooted not in charity, but in justice, not in pity, but in power, not in apology, but in pride. And from the river to the sea, not because we begged, but because we resisted together. And when that day comes, it'll be because people dared to speak when it mattered the most. Now, I know Alan already mentioned it, but Sunday demonstrations, I'd love to see. I mean, that's a lot more faces than I see on a Sunday. I never forget a face. 2 p.m, Metropolitan Cathedral, and we all stand in solidarity. And it's just a message to unison. When you come out to us, we'll come out to you. And in order to begin the start of unity, the start of people coming together to fight inequality and injustice, you will have to come out and stand with us overtly, not behind closed doors. It's all about strength in numbers, and together we'll be a bond that can't be broken. They will hate to see us coming. And the people united will what? Solidarity, Scousers for Palestine. Thank you.
Sean was the ideal candidate to take on Southport at the last general election. Given his record alongside Janice on removing the Liberal Democrats in Kew Ward. But Starmer's Labour and his mafia-esque Labour North West saw a genuine socialist and trade unionist will never have their day again. Instead, parachuting Patrick Hurley into position. But Sean, how can we move forward?
Thanks, Sam. And just first of all, it's incredible to see so many people turning out to this gathering of the independent groups. It's absolutely incredible. So give yourselves a round of applause first. So how do we move forwards? I myself left the Labour Party about a year ago after being blocked about 8 months before that from being the MP. To be honest, we all knew I was going to get blocked. There was no chance they were letting me through. A working class trade unionist, an ex-bus driver. So we in Southport, after the general election, decided to build Southport Community Independents, a party that listens to the community and reacts to that and builds class solidarity through dialogue, and then more importantly, action afterwards. So if anything comes from this meeting today, the biggest thing that you guys can do is come the next elections, whether they be in Liverpool in 2027 or up in Sefton 2026, find us, turn out and help us take these seats. That's the way we change these structures, by taking power from the corrupt Labour Party. So up and down the country, our community is being left behind, let down by politicians of every shade that don't represent working class people and haven't done for a long time. Comrades, we are in a class war. It's a war that's been going on for 45 years. It's just our side of that class war hasn't realised it yet. We need to get off our knees and start fighting back and take back power for working people up and down the country. And whether that's in Parliament, in council chambers, or in your workplaces, the fight's real. We have to keep going. And there are massive, massive uphill battles we see at the moment. Within the workplaces, we've heard from the Birmingham bin workers and Live Housing here. This is going to creep into every workplace in the country. Our employers are looking across the pond at how the Americans do anti-trade unionism. And that is something we absolutely have to be a bulwark against. We need to open up democracy, not just in council chambers, but in workplaces across the country. Workers know what's best for them, and we need to start listening to them, not people on the front benches of this treacherous Labour Party. And yeah, that's it, fam. Thank you so much again, comrades.
Before we move the session on, I'd like to talk about what we need to take the movement forward. A movement that it might seem dormant, but will explode as soon as a credible left-wing party is announced. I want to address the elephant in the room now. We have missed a trick here. This should have been done yesterday, and now we see reform rise. We can no longer allow for their racist and hate-filled rhetoric to continue. I want to reflect on how I was engulfed in politics. I was a part of the surge of young people who joined the Labour Party because of this man, Jeremy Corbyn. And the creation of the 2017 manifesto ideas. This movement was not just a fleeting trend. It represented a profound shift in our collective vision for the future. As a new dad, when I first heard about Jeremy Corbyn's vision, I was inspired with a capital I. Even more inspired to support Jeremy, thanks to the media, the establishment, the Israeli lobby, and those within his own ranks trying to take him down. As a new parent, I looked into the eyes of my newborn child, Skylar, and felt an overwhelming sense of hope and responsibility. I wanted a future filled with opportunity, equality, and justice for my children and everyone else's children. Hence why I call my second child Finlay Corbyn. The 2017 manifesto spoke to us in many ways, and it resonated deeply. It championed policies that focused on the needs of the many and not just the privileged few. Young people rallied around promises of free education, free prescriptions, decent housing, and a commitment to tackle climate change. These issues are not just political talking points. They represent the very foundation of a secure future for our children. Corbyn embraced inclusivity and diversity, creating a space where every voice mattered. Young people felt empowered to engage for the first time, to express their concerns about inequality, and to advocate for a fairer society. This was a movement that listened to the youth, acknowledged their struggles and their aspirations. The manifesto also ignited our collective imagination. It painted a picture of a society where the NHS was fully funded again, where public services were prioritised, and where everyone had a fair shot at success. This vision instilled a sense of purpose, a belief that change was not only possible, but achievable. During Corbyn's leadership, I found a community of passionate individuals who shared my hopes and dreams for a better world. Together, we campaigned for policies that would benefit us all, not just for today, but for generations to come. Now, sadly, this isn't the case. Starmer and co have destroyed the Labour Party. An alternative is needed. Like many others, I stood as an independent in both local and national elections. Myself, Alan Gibbons and Councillor Lucy Williams were all elected with huge majorities, removing Labour in some of the strongest held wards. And that's partly because we promoted the same ideas in that very manifesto. The hope is still there. Before I pass the mic over to Jeremy, I urge us to remember the enthusiasm and the energy of those young people who joined Labour from 2015. This was driven by a desire for a brighter future, a future that we can still work towards today through a new left-wing party. Let us continue to strive for those values that unite us, driven by the hope we feel for our children and for a fairer, more just society. Jeremy.
Thank you. Thank you, Liverpool. The tradition of Liverpool, of solidarity, of demonstrations, and of understanding history is a very, very strong one indeed. And it's always been to me an inspiration to be in this city, be it to support the Liverpool Dockers, be it to oppose the arms fair that was held here, be it to oppose racism, be it to just support people in struggle in lots and lots of ways. And so I want to say thank you very much to Alan, particularly for all the work that he's put into organizing this incredible event here today. Alan is a wonderful, wonderful man with an incredibly wide breadth of knowledge on lots of things. I've never forgotten spending a whole morning with him walking around a park discussing vegetable growing and stuff like that. Well done, Alan. He's very good at it. Where are you, Alan? How's the crops? And got the honey out. I'll be over for a bottle later. And also, I want to say a big thank you to Sam and Lucy for their work as independents. And I want to just endorse absolutely everything that Alan said about Sam. I only got to know Sam after he became active in the party, and I got to know him better the more he got attacked, actually, because I felt immediate empathy with you. I felt for you, but also the abuse that Sam has suffered and the honesty with which Sam replies to people is exemplary in lots of ways. Sam, thank you very much for all that you do and the way that you analyze the way politics have to go forward. As you can see, I'm wearing a green shirt. There's a reason. Because after the rally today, I'm leaving straight away because I'll be on the silent walk for Grenfell tonight. I've been to every one of the walks for Grenfell every year. And every year I feel more and more angry about what happened that night, the disaster that took place that night, and the bravery of the firefighters and others that did everything they could to save life. And the way in which they were routinely condemned. They did everything they could to save life. What was that really about, other than scamping, scheming, fiddling, thieving by developers, by builders, by local authorities, and by lots of other people who couldn't give a damn about the safety of a multicultural working class community living in that tower block, and they're the ones who suffered. And they're the ones who always suffer when the scheming goes on and the property developers are let loose. And so the whole function, surely, of the Labour movement, the whole function of politics is to ensure that communities are put first, not last, and profits are put at the end, not at the beginning of the discussion of how you build things. And also, you look at all the other great causes that we've fought and still fight. Hillsborough, Orgreave, and so many more, where there's been the most abominable miscarriages of justice. And there's many in this room who've fought many miscarriages of justice. I know how long and hard that road could be. I've never forgotten, sitting in my constituency office as a newly elected MP, a family came in to me and said, our nephew is in prison and he shouldn't be there. I said, okay, tell me about it. And they did. This young man, was the first person ever to be arrested under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. You know what happens from that? No lawyer, confessions taken, and all kinds of horrible things happen to them. That person was one of the Guildford Four. We took up the cause. Years later, all of us that had been campaigning, often in quite an isolated, lonely place and not getting much support when we should have been getting it, saw them walk out of court as free people. That was that campaign. Likewise, of course, the Birmingham Six and so many more. Now, there's a lot I could say today and a lot I would like to say today, but Sam's in the chair and he's gonna stop me at some point. I can see. Actually, I'm quite relieved that he hasn't even got a watch on. That's a big help. That's a big help. Okay, anyway, what I want to just say is this. We're living in the most incredibly dangerous time. We're living in the most incredibly dangerous time when bombing is taking place as we speak of Iran, when bombing is taking place continually of Gaza and of the West Bank, when 60,000 deaths have already happened, when children are being starved to death in real time on television and they're dying in sight of food on the other side of that fence. On the other side of that fence. And so, if it's all as... And so, it is very important that we have an international perspective to everything that we do and everything that we say. And so, next Saturday, there will be a massive demonstration in London in support of the people of Palestine. I know it's expensive, but all of you that can get there, please get there. And in our independent group in Parliament, the five of us, we have been continually exposing the whole issue of Britain's complicity in the genocide in Gaza. I was there at the International Court of Justice when South Africa took the case against Israel. And as I was in the court there, I was just listening to the presentation being made by the South African team, who were utterly brilliant. And I just reflected, all those years of campaigning against South African apartheid brought fruit, obviously. Mandela walked free. Obviously, South Africa became a rainbow nation. And that was because of the determination of the South African people, particularly those people in Soweto and the townships. Comrades, don't allow ourselves to be distracted by irrelevancies. And I just reflected on the solidarity of the people in South Africa to bring about their own liberation. It was they that did it. And the solidarity shown by many of us all around the world ended with South Africa standing up for the people of Palestine. And that's what solidarity means. And then, as we've been looking at the issue of British arms supplies, after lots of pressure, David Lammy finally said he was going to suspend 30 arms licenses. Out of 300, by the way. I don't even know what these 30 licenses were. It was impossible to find out. For all I know, there might be 30 licenses for high-vis vests, gloves or whatever. I've no idea what they were. And then we got on to the question of the generality of arms supplies, the use of the Royal Air Force Base at Akrotiri in Cyprus, and the components that are made for the F-35 jets that have had such a devastating effect on the people of Gaza. 15% of the components of those jets are made in the UK. When we demanded that they end the sale of these parts, we were told that would disrupt the global supply chain for the F-35 jet. And somehow or other, it was impossible to identify which part went to which country. What a load of old nonsense. It's perfectly possible, and we will continue with those demands because that has made us complicit in the bombing of Gaza and made us complicit in the war crime of genocide against the people of Palestine. And so our solidarity in this country and all around the world has made a difference and has developed a political movement. More than 1 million people in Britain have done something by going to demonstrations, meetings, writing letters, whatever it is, in support of the people of Palestine. Well over 1 million people. That is a movement. That is a movement for justice and peace around the world. But I cannot be the only person that is frightened by what I'm seeing around the world at the moment. Last year, global arms expenditure reached $2.7 trillion. 9% up on the previous year. This year, it will probably reach maybe $3 trillion being spent on armaments and armies all around the world. That is all public spending. That is a growth in an arms race. A growth in an arms race tends to lead to a war. And when the government came up with its Strategic Defence Review, I got this document when it was produced in Parliament. We then discovered that it had been shared in advance, not as is normal with the leaders of particular political groups in Parliament, but it had been shared with the arms industry the day before so that they could get ready for that announcement. And so we do have to have some questions asked here, because the $5 billion cut that is taking place in personal independence payments for people with disabilities is because the government wants to spend more on arms and what they call defense. Are we to be a nation of warfare, or are we to be a nation of welfare? I know which one I want. And so you'll find on the Independent stall at the back there a book that we produced through the Peace and Justice Project called The Monstrous Anger of Guns, which exposes the world's arms trade. I'm not naive about the issues that are going on around the world, the horror of the war in Ukraine, the horror of what's going on in Gaza, the bombing that's going on in Iran, the war in Sudan, the war in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and all the others. But there has to be a move towards peace. There has to be a strategy for peace. There has to be a way of building those institutions that can help bring about peace. That has to be the right way forward. And to not attack people who work in the arms industry, but provide the orders for those industries to make the renewable energy sources we need, the buses we need, the ships we need, the planes we need, and all the other things for those skills to be used. But we have at the moment in this country the most devastating attack on the poorest people. The two-child benefit remains in place. The two-child benefit cap means that in a large family, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever number of children there are, get no benefit whatsoever. It's the major driver of child poverty in our society. Why can't we, as a country, end that injustice and ensure that every child is treated equally and fairly and gets the benefits that they deserve? I mentioned the cut in personal independence payments, which is coming up in Parliament very soon. I know exactly which way I'm going to be voting. I know exactly which way the independent group of MPs are going to be voting. I don't know how Labour MPs are going to be voting on this. I know they should vote on this. It is absolutely unbelievable that you have a government in office for less than a year that is taking £5 billion at least out of the disability budget in our society, when already it is well known that families with any person with disabilities tends to be the poorest within our society. They've also refused compensation for the WASPy women, which was included in all of the manifestos, the last 3 manifestos the Labour Party has put forward. I stand with the WASPy women wanting justice and the compensation that they deserve. But the budgets we've had so far, from this government have done what? Other than increase the gap between the richest and the poorest. And even by their own estimation, tens of thousands more people will be driven into poverty by the taxation changes they've so far announced. And that can only get worse. We're becoming a nation of billionaires and food banks by deliberate act of government policy. And then you look at the crucial issues like what money is spent in each government department. Well, there's a lot of sleight of hand going on here. They announced there was going to be some increases and each minister agreed on what the budget was for their particular department. What they didn't notice was the bit afterwards which said efficiency savings of a greater amount than the extra money that was being put in. Every single government department, with the exception, they claim, of health, although that is debatable, is actually going to be facing cuts over the next year, particularly in local government and particularly in the housing needs of people within our society. We're not going to deal with the housing crisis. We're not going to deal with the homelessness crisis by just talking about it. It has to be by the building of council housing for permanent rent, not for sale, for permanent rent, and the very strict regulation of the private rented sector so that those people that do live in the private rented sector get a number of things. One is security of tenure. Secondly, repairs whenever they need to be done. And thirdly, a secure, regulated, fair rent set on the basis of the needs within the local community. But I have to say, the infrastructure bill that's just gone through the House of Commons stages of its passage through Parliament sets up unaccountable development corporations. Now, we've had some experience of those around the country, gives them enormous powers to purchase land for developers and developing with no guarantee of the level of council housing that's going to be built on those sites. It is very much a developer's charter. And so we, as active socialists, people who want to live in a decent, fair society, need to be very active on all these planning and approval issues to make sure that every time a site becomes available, we are there demanding that it's council housing that's built to deal with the housing crisis within our society. And there are so many other areas that we have to be looking at, one of which, of course, is the spending on education, the debt levels that students get because they've gone to university, and the problems that families have whenever they have a child in school with special education needs, A, getting a statement of them, and B, getting support for them, because there is an informal way of cutting expenditure on it by rationing the spending on it. It causes the most unbelievable stress for those young people and obviously their family as well. So we need to be imaginative as well about how the education system and service should run. Personally, I believe much of it is over-competitive, and the students are far too stressed as a result of it. Surely we want our children, yes, to learn all the key core subjects. Of course we do that, but we also want them to be inspired with music, with art, with theatre, and with so much else as well. And so it is about how we move forward and present these things. Now, Len and others have talked about the political opportunities and the political importance of this particular time. I have spent my life in the Labour Party and the Labour movement, and I was told by the national executive of the party a few years back after the 2019 election that I was no longer fit to be a Labour Member of Parliament. And so I asked the General Secretary of the party, then David Evans. I wrote him a very short note, very polite. Dear David, I understand that there's been some discussions. I'd like to know how I can appeal against this decision that's been made. And he said, there is no form of appeal. So I wrote back and said, well, under the norms of any organization, which is the rules of natural justice, which is that the accused knows the charge against them, they have a right of defense and representation and a right of appeal. He wrote back and he said, the rules of natural justice no longer apply to the Labour Party either. So there we had it in writing, and Len then took up the cudgel brilliantly, and I think he probably fell out with Keir Starmer during that discussion, but I think you may have fallen out earlier. And so I just took the view that it's not about me, it's about the rights of representation and about democracy. So I said, well, if you're not going to let the Labour Party members in my constituency have a choice in their future, maybe the people should make that choice and make that decision. Thank you to everyone that came to Islington to help last year in the election campaign with the result that we got. Thank you. And to me, that campaign was a fascinating and very humbling experience. And we knocked on every door, and we had rallies all over the constituency. We had music, we had fun, we had lots of people coming together. And many people looked really sad as we got to polling day. And I said, what's the matter with you? We've run a great campaign. We'll get the result tomorrow. They said, yeah, well, what am I going to do the day after? They said, we got to like your area. We got to like being around here. We're very happy around here. I said, well, stay on. No problem to me. And so it is about how we behave and how we act. Now, the danger within our society at the moment is the horror and the fear of the rise of the far right. Read the history of the, yes, even the pre-First World War period, when there was a very big rise in xenophobia against foreign workers. Keir Hardie was a child labourer, eventually became a worker for the miners' union in Scotland, and obviously we all know what happened after. He eventually founded the Labour Party, became the first leader, opposed the First World War, and died of a heart attack in 1915. He was at a meeting of the miners' union he was responsible for in Scotland, and they got very angry at this meeting. They said, Keir, there's all these Lithuanian miners coming here. They're damaging us. They're taking our jobs. We don't want them here. You've got to do something to get rid of them. And he said, leave the issue with me and I'll come back to the meeting next week and I'll give you a report on the situation. So they trusted him. So they said, okay, all right, we'll leave it with you. So the next week they come to the meeting and Keir's sitting at the table just like you are, Sam, and there's a big stack of leaflets there in front of him. And they said, well, what's all that then? He said, they're leaflets in the Lithuanian language that every worker can join the union and every worker can be in solidarity with every other worker, wherever they come from, whatever their nationality, and how they do things. And then we had in the 1920s and 1930s the rise of anti-Semitism, the rise of racism in our society, the blaming of Jewish workers for all the problems. And in Germany, that led us to the devastation of the Holocaust and the deaths of millions in the gas chambers, gays, lesbians, anyone that was not acceptable to the Nazis, and obviously millions of Jewish people. That's what happens when the far right take over. And that's why those people that were so heroic in opposing the rise of fascism in France, in Germany, and in Britain in the 1920s and 1930s, if you like, my parents' generation, should be extolled for what they did. What we now have is a routine attack on refugees, migrants, and minorities in the media and in politics. And across Europe, the rise of the far right has been formidable. In France, in Germany, in Austria, in Italy, in Netherlands, all over. The Conservative parties got alarmed at losing support to the far right, so they tacked to the far right. The Social Democrat forces got worried they were being left behind, so tacked over and said that refugees are a big problem, immigrants are a big problem, got to be stopped, etc. And the attacks, the racism got worse. And then you hear Farage going on and on about these poor people coming from Calais as though they're the cause of every problem there ever was within our society. Refugees all come from somewhere. They come from war-torn countries. They come from human rights abuse. They come from indescribable levels of poverty. I'm not saying we can solve every problem everywhere in the world in one room. Of course we can't. But we can start with the basis of humanity reaching out towards everybody else. And so we have to ensure that as we build our movement, we build it on the basis of the unity of people. You only win struggles by unity. Fantastic contribution this morning on behalf of the Birmingham bin strikers. You explained to me how you built the union up from a very low level of membership to a very high level of membership and are now able to defend your working class conditions and defend your community because of the strength of the union. So what we need is that strength in every community, building all that up. And I just finished by saying this. I know many people are very frustrated that we didn't found a new political party the day after, whenever, 2019, 21, 22, 23, whatever else. And okay, if you want to blame anybody, blame me. I mean, there's a rule in my office that everything that goes wrong is my fault. And it works fine because it means nobody in the office falls out because everything's my fault, you see. So it kind of works very well. So I'm happy to take that on. But I am determined there will be, in short time, a strong alternative, democratic, socialist, left-wing voice that brings people together. We are one, and we want to be one. And so we are one in support of each other. We are one in demanding the sharing of wealth within our society rather than extolling the wealth of a tiny minority of people. We are one when we say that no child should be left behind. We are one when we say that the health service should be properly funded, not diced up, sliced up, and sold off and privatized. We are one when we say education should be properly funded. We are one when we say that we believe in young people and support young people and support the diversity of young people, the energy, the enthusiasm, the imagination, the music and the art of young people. Build a society fit for the next generation. And we achieve that by supporting each other. The Liverpool Independents are a great, fantastic example. Southport Independents, many, many others all over the country that I've had the privilege to meet over the last few weeks. We're building that network, that information. We're sharing that knowledge on the basic principles of peace, on the basic principles of justice, on the basic principles of economic equality, on the basic principles of building a society that is inclusive of all, and standing up against the global corporations that have destroyed our manufacturing industry, standing up against the banks that have so decimated working class communities all over the industrial world, but above all, building a movement which will deal with the real issues that face this planet. The environmental crisis, the economic inequality between people, and the lack of people feeling secure. And when they say to me, Jeremy, you've got to get real, you've got to spend much, much more on arms and defense, I say, what is security? Security to me is knowing you can get something to eat, you've got a doctor to go to, you've got a roof over your head, and if your child needs it, they get health, and there will always be free education available for all children. And so we go forward on those issues. And when this government is failing to do what it should by taking back into public ownership the services that were stolen from us, like water, like gas, like electricity, like energy, like so many others, then we are there demanding a public ownership response, but this time a proper democratic public ownership where we all have a say in how those industries are run and how those services are run. So today here in Liverpool, we're doing something very important and very special. We're supporting the independents here in Liverpool and Southport, and indeed all over Merseyside, to stand up for their communities and fight for a better future. But it's also a message to our comrades and friends in every independent group, every socialist group all over the country. Come together. We are one. We will win. We will change the agenda, and we will ensure we build that better world and that better society. Thank you.
Sorry, no, we've now got a few contributions from some community activists. There's a handful here. We'll start off with Helen Marks. Liverpool Friends of Palestine. Helen.
I'm really honoured to be here. It should really be Karen Fletcher who's here reading her poem. But she's doing important things, as you heard. She's in Cairo having a very difficult time. And we can't wait to have good news about her and hope that she'll return safely. So she's asked me to read her poem. She's a fantastic poet, and she's written lots of poems, and I hope eventually she'll bring them all together and it'll be a permanent reminder of artists' work, the way they can capture the mood of a time. So I'm going to read her poem. How can you just walk on by? A genocide unfolds before our eyes. How can you just walk on by, seeing injured, dead children every day? How can you just ignore and look away? Little girl grey with dust and rubble in her hair, does that not make you feel despair? 15 emergency workers ambushed, shot dead. Do you get angry like me, or just look away instead? Do you not see the same horror that I can see, or just act like normal with your Costa coffee? Flames engulf tents as the planes fly over. How can you just ignore and sip away at your Coca-Cola? What about families in ruins of rubble with no home? Does your heart not ache? Is it made of stone? What about the doctor whose 9 children have been wiped out? Does it not make you want to cry and shout? The mother who cradles her young dead baby, pull at your heartstrings just a little bit maybe? Surely you can see what I can see. Do you not feel any empathy? Can't you imagine what it feels like to be that mother or the little sister who's just lost her brother? What about the orphan child, lost both mum and dad? Can you feel that pain? Doesn't it make you feel sad?
We've got another Helen now, Helen Collins.
Am I allowed to swear? I'll try not to.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, comrades. I'm sorry about everyone's ears. So I'm here on behalf of Crips Against Cuts, which is a community activist disabled group. Very thankful for this opportunity. So let's stop pretending the Labour government is failing disabled people, and not by mistake. This isn't a glitch in the system, it is the system. We were promised care, fairness, dignity. What we've seen is more of the same cruelty we've endured for over a decade. Right now, over 2 million people in the UK are out of work due to long-term sickness. Labour's response? They don't give a shit. Not investment, but threats to reform welfare and get tough. Language lifted straight from the poisonous neoliberal Tory rulebook. Boo. We've been cut off from the mainstream, but the truth, over half of us, sorry, I knew I'd mess up. Over half of people living in poverty have a disabled relative. That is not a glitch in the system. That is structural violence, and it is a class issue. Okay. I promise I'll wrap it up soon. So the so-called fit to work test condemned by the UN forced people to prove over and over that they're sick enough to be believed. From 2014 to 2020, over 100,000 disabled people were wrongly denied PIP. How many were pushed into poverty? How many died waiting? How many were discarded, forced to mask under capitalism, just to survive? Neoliberalism tells us that disability is a cost, that even basic accessibility is a luxury. Well, we've had enough. We are not burdens. We are not numbers to be trimmed down from budgets. We are part of this class, part of this fight. We refuse to be erased, because the antidote to neoliberalism isn't silence, it's community. And knowing that when they come for disabled people today, they'll come for all workers tomorrow. They undermine all workers, these cuts do, and all our struggles intersect. Our liberation is bound together. Just look at the direct action we've just coordinated for Gaza. We can do it. Thank you, comrades.
Next, we've got Gary Woolham, Gorst Community United. Is Gary here? Okay, we'll move on to the next one and bring Gary back. We've got Conor O'Neill. All right, mate. Upcoming council candidate.
Cheers, Sam, and cheers for bringing me in. I think it's a great event here today. It's good to see everyone speak. But yeah, I'm the independent, Tusk-backed trade union and socialist candidate for the Blundell Sands ward, which is coming up on the 19th. So if you're in Blundell Sands, then get down to the polls and vote for the only candidate calling for the full nationalisation, calling for vote against all cuts, and for the founding of a new party, a new mass workers' party to fight for these policies and more. And that's why, comrades, and that's why I'm here today, to raise Tusk's petition, signed by leading trade unionists Ian Hodson, Sarah Woolley, and former militant MP Dave Nellis, who I know Mr Corbyn speaks very highly of. They've all signed this petition, so I urge comrades to support our petition today for the trade unions to get behind this party and to make it a real opposition. You know, there's been a lot of talk today, comrades, about grassroots movements. And what's the biggest grassroots movement, if not the trade unions? 6 million members strong, comrades. 6 million members, and the power of the working class has been shown by disputes like the Liv Housing's dispute, the Birmingham bin strike, and other items throughout the strike wave. So we think the working class needs to be at the heart of this party, because, comrades, we must act fast, very fast. Reform UK are on the rise, showing division at every step, exploiting the legitimate concerns of workers to divide our class in the favour of big business. Comrades, the establishment has plenty of parties, and including now, unfortunately, under Mr Starmer, the Labour Party. It's about damn time, I think, that the working class gets its own party too. Thanks, comrades, and vote Independent, Trades Union and Socialist on the 19th of June in Blundell Sands. Thanks, comrades.
I think I can see Gary now. Gary Woolham, Gorst Community United.
You don't know me, but I know him. I know Lucy, and I know Alan. Why? I'm not here to speak on a national basis. I live in Garston. The person who's my MP doesn't know what goes on in my street. He does. Three years ago, I started a campaign about an incinerator where we live, in a community that is known as a CLR, a community of lesser resistance. Garston, under the bridge, Liverpool, 19. This man, before he became our councillor, was a councillor for the ward next door. He came and asked what I was going on about, because I was a lone voice. When he sat down with me, he was shocked. Why? He lives less than 250 metres from the plant and didn't know about it. This plant could blow up. This plant could be the next Flixborough disaster. But Liverpool City Council don't want you to know about that. They want you to know about the Eurovision Song Contest, everything else that they're bringing in, all the good things that this Labour caring council does for us. Well, the place that operates it, if the Birmingham bin men are still here, is Viola. And Viola are this 641 million a year council, Liverpool CI community region bin collection waste operator. That's big money. This place is unbelievable what it does. The chemicals that are transported in there don't even come from, the UK. They come from Ireland. That waste, we're the dumping ground for somebody else's, some other country's waste. The people, Sam, Lucy, Alan, have supported me. They've supported our community in Liverpool. And that's what I'm here about. Mr. Corbyn's great. All these people speaking on a national basis are great. But what happens to me, he can speak about. He helps with. There is a unity within these people that I feel is about Garston not being a CLR anymore. We've recently had a big battle over a planning application that in 2018, a plot of land was designated for housing. They'll say it wasn't, but there was a number of planning applications put on it for 193 houses. Ultimately, this company came along, paid £4 million for the site and wanted to dump open storage of what they don't know. We fought the community. Sam was part of it. Alan was there. Lucy was there. We fought. And an historic event happened on the 13th of May, where for the first time, according to the Liverpool Echo, in their political, Mr. Liam Thorpe's memory, the democratically elected council committee of the planning committee voted against the officers. They're the issue we've got here. They're being fed things that affect you, that affect me, and they don't live here. It'd be interesting if you threw an FOI into Liverpool City Council about how many senior officers actually live in Liverpool or actually live in the area where they make a decision that matters to you. Because this is it. It doesn't. But he lives in Garston. He lives in Orrell Park. And what goes on in the air that they breathe, on the streets that they walk, matters to me. I think we need independent councillors elected quick. Most importantly, they must live in the ward that they represent. They have to have what you want and to heart. They have to breathe the air that you breathe and walk the streets that you breathe, that you walk. Why? Because it matters. It doesn't matter what goes on in London. They won't get your bins emptied. They won't get your streets swept. But the people here, they matter to me. And that's why I'm proud to call them a friend. Thank you.
Next up is Linda Wall. Thanks, Gary.
I did something a bit peculiar the other day. I read Hansard. I wanted to see for myself what MPs were saying and thinking when they brought in the Equality Act in 2010, giving protection against discrimination to a number of disadvantaged groups. And you know what? MPs wanted to put an end to equal pay and to women being passed over for promotion. And not one MP thought that there was any conflict of interest between women and trans people. Fast forward 15 years, and they're trying to use the Equality Act to strip trans people of the dignity and protections that the Equality Act was designed to secure. The right of organisations to be trans-inclusive is under attack. The right of trans people to keep personal information private and not be outed to all and sundry is under attack. Even our right to use gender-appropriate loos is under attack. How is this possible? It's possible because of a long-running scare campaign which has convinced some people that trans women are somehow a threat to them. Comrades, we have to oppose the recent Supreme Court judgment and these attacks on trans rights, and not only that, as a movement, we have to fight for the rights of every minority group. We have to support Grenfell. We have to fight for the rights of black people, of disabled people, of women. Different struggles, one battle. We fight together.
Thanks, Linda. And the last of our community activists is Mike Foster, Huddersfield anti-cuts campaigner. Is Mike around? Okay. Welcome back to Liverpool, Mike.
This one.
Hi, comrades. We have come across the Pennines to join you today. 4 weeks ago, we held a rally like this in Huddersfield. Ours was bigger. Per head of population. All right, there were 200 at our rally. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Jeremy, for coming to our rally. We've some important news to bring to you because we are a bit ahead of you when it comes to the collapse of the Labour Party in our area. Out of a council of 69, the Labour members now only number 24. And we had a message from them at our rally. We're coming for you next year. Because we now have 15 independents who were elected last year and the year before. And one of the MPs in our area, now a member of Jeremy's group, was elected at the general election last year. And we launched the People's Alliance for Change and Equality at our conference 4 weeks ago. We're now busy selecting candidates that will be standing in 2026. I can give you this guarantee that Labour will be wiped out next year, but neither are we going to allow reform to get a foothold in our area. Because, comrades, our council in Kirklees is toxic. I haven't time to talk about it, but the theme of our conference was the same as yours. Solidarity, local community struggles, and significant victories that we've chalked up against that council, which has given us a platform to feel confident about next year's elections. And how pleased and relieved I am to hear today that we want to unite with you in Liverpool and the rest of the country. We need to see all of these struggles united. And Jeremy's call today for a democratic socialist party, and Len echoing that, we know that that party is now coming. Many people behind the scenes are working very hard. Within the next, hopefully, 2 or 3 months, and maybe shorter, that party is going to be launched. Labour better get ready. The Tories better get ready. Reform better get ready, because we are the majority. We are the majority. They are the minority.
Okay, before I ask, sorry, my voice is going now. Before I ask Sam and Teo to conclude the rally, I'm going to just say a few announcements. First one, don't forget, tomorrow at the Catholic Cathedral, 2 o'clock, we're going to march for Palestine for what, the 61st time? Something like that. On Tuesday, comrades are going at 8:30 from the PAL Multicultural Centre, 68A Mulgrave Street, going over to Meadowhall Road, Sheffield, for the arms embargo demonstration. And next Saturday noon, outside the Marie Curie, we're going to be demanding that they reopen the inpatient ward. On your way out, please sign up to join one of the community independent groups. We'll be circulating anyway after this rally, everybody who's attended. And please, oh yeah, I'm going to do that one, Audrey. She's like my ghost, you know, buckets. She said buckets to me about 3 times today. I'm going to be called Hyacinth Bucket after this. So what was, oh, you've thrown us now. What was my last thing? Oh, yeah. If you can sign up, the smallest donation, the sheets are on your seat to help us to fight Labour in as many seats as possible in 2027. So thanks for all that. And I'll hand over to Sam to finish the rally with Teo.
Thanks, Alan. So we'll be ending the event with a song by Teo, a man of many artistic talents. He sings, he acts, and he writes plays. He is also an architect, who knew? And he sure knows how to make a grown man cry. Well, that was me listening to one of his performances. His art is dedicated to encouraging and inspiring progressive activism by showing how Black history is everyone's history. He is a man of principle, integrity, and compassion. Please follow him. His work speaks to all those values. Teo.
Greetings. I will not speak. Enough people have spoken. I will just sing a song of Speak Up. Okay. Yes, I will not speak. I will just sing a song loved by the trade union movement worldwide, made famous by Paul Robeson. It's Joe Hill. So join me if you want to. I dreamed I saw Joe Hill last night, alive as you and me. Says I, but Joe, you're 10 years dead. I never died, says he. I never died, says he. Salt Lake Joe, by Jove, I says, him standing by my bed. They framed you on a murder charge, says Joe, but I ain't dead. Says Joe, but I ain't dead. The copper bosses killed you, Joe. They shot you, Joe, says I. Takes more than guns to kill a man, says Joe, I didn't die. Says Joe, I didn't die. And standing there as big as life and smiling with his eyes, he says those they forgot to kill went on to organize, went on to organize. Joe Hill ain't dead, he says to me. Joe Hill ain't never died. Where working folk defend their rights, Joe Hill is at their side. Joe Hill is at their side. From Liverpool to Palestine, in every mine and mill, where working folks are out on strike, that's where you'll find Joe Hill. That's where you'll find Joe Hill. I dreamed I saw Joe Hill last night, alive as you and me. Says I, but Joe, you're 10 years dead. I never died, says he. I never died, says he. I never died, says he.
Okay, comrades. I'm going to hand over to Sam in a moment. We've got 2 notices. First one, unbelievably, after I made the joke about buckets, I forgot to ask the people to go and get the buckets for the collection. And unlike some of they're just outside the door, Audrey, if you and Mike want to get the buckets now. Just to start you off, we are not one of the groups of councillors that don't donate. We've got 200 quid that we're going to put from 3 independent councillors. And I'll hand over to Sam. Paula, do you want to just do a bit? Just for wheelchair access, Paula's got a slight announcement at the end.
Sorry, guys, anyone who came up in the accessibility lift, it is now out of order. So if you need street access, the exit just over there for anyone who needs easy access. It'll take you straight onto street level.
Okay, I'm just going to finish off with one sentence. That is, let's get this party started!
Excuse me. What's your name?
Al Peters.
Okay. Al Peters just wants to...
Well, just like to say, just because I'm so strong with the Liverpool community, I've got to say that together we stand, divided we fall. So here we go. Together we stand, divided we fall. Come on, you people, let's have a ball. Let's work together. Come on, let's work together. Yeah, divided we stand. Come on now, everybody say it with me. We're divided, we fall. Together we stand. Come on, all you people, come on now, let's have a ball.